Biographies, Part 2. Jorunn the Skald-King, by Helge Lutvoice, Bard of Windhelm. Born in Second Era 546 to Queen Majam Flamehair, Prince Jorunn grew up knowing that his elder sister Nirnhild was fated to take the throne. A singer of rare talent in a culture that reveres the power of the human voice, Jorunn studied at the Skald's retreat on the Isle of Gold outside of Riften. There he learned all he could be taught by the most renowned bards of the Eastern Kingdom. He was dubbed the Skald Prince of Skyrim. Jorunn spent most of his youth in artistic and philosophical pursuits, cultivating a broad array of artists, artisans, and performers throughout Eastern Skyrim and beyond. He spent time in Mournhold, Stormhold, Such, Elenhir, and is even reputed to have visited Solitude, the capital of Western Skyrim, in disguise. Though he claimed to have no interest in politics or the business of rule, his natural leadership qualities made him the unofficial leader of the creative community wherever he found himself. Though he received little formal schooling in the arts of arms and warfare, as little as a prince of the Nords could manage anyway. Traveling across Tamriel was always a dangerous activity. His travels taught him less orthodox ways of dealing with trouble. Jorunn was in Riften when the Akavir of Dir Kamau assaulted the northeast coast of Skyrim in Second Era 572. Jorunn and his closest comrades, the pack of bards, fought their way up the coast to Windhelm, arriving just in time to see its gates breached by the Akavir. Jorunn hurled himself into the fray, street fighting being something he had experience with, but was unable to prevent the fall of the city and the slaying of Queen Majab and Nirnhild, the brief queen, who both went down fighting. Wounded and devastated, Jorunn barely escaped the sack of Windhelm alive. Feeling for the first time the responsibility of his royal birth, he decided to appeal to the Greybeards for aid, and so made his way stealthily but quickly to High Hrothgar. For reasons that have not been divulged, the Greybeards decided to teach the Skald Prince a thum, one that summons a hero from Sovngarde to fight for the tongue who uses it. But in Jorunn's voice, the thum became a royal call of valor, and summoned a hero who is none other than Wulfharth, the Ash King. Together, Wulfharth and Jorunn, now claiming the title Skald King, rallied the Nords of Eastern Skyrim, mustering an army from the Rift and the outer regions of Eastmarch, then fortifying Riften. Dir Kamau, moving south from Windhelm, found Riften defended by angry Nords inspired by the presence of Wulfharth and eager to fight. So Dir Kamau bypassed Riften and marched on to Mournhold, the Akaviri leader, assuming that the Nords would be glad to see him go. That choice was a fatal mistake. Jorunn and Wulfharth led their army in pursuit of the Akavir force, and the Nord army entered Morrowind for the first time since the Battle of Red Mountain. The Akavir army was caught at Stone Falls between the Nords and a Dunmer legion led by Alessia, but the outcome of that great battle hung in the balance until a surprise intervention from a phalanx of Argonian shellbacks led by a trio of reptilian battle mages. The Akavir line was broken, and they were driven into the sea where they drowned by the thousands. The Ash King, his purpose fulfilled, returned to Sovngarde. In Windhelm 3 weeks later, Jorunn was crowned the High King in the throne room of the Palace of Kings. The All-Beneficent King Fahara'jad. Chapter 1 of his laudable youth, wherein is related, O happy audience, the tale of His Majesty's thrice-blessed life, including an account of His Majesty's rise to the throne of Sentinel, which tale is exemplary, and mention of some of His Majesty's excellences and virtues, which are numberless. Know, O beloved reader, that the lineage of our auspicious king is both noble and royal, descending patrilineally from Makkah, from Jafir, yea, even from the High King Azal himself. Likewise matrilineally His forebears are grandees of Antiphilos, including the notorious Zizine of most august memory. Indeed, of the grand Zizine, it was said by the poet Behurs that he was of such rectitude that when in error he entered the lady's bathhouse, he forthwith put out both his eyes, lest he commit an indecency. As to High King Azal, the curious delver has but to seek up the tome, the worthy Azal, his deeds. Now, when all-beneficent King Fahara'jad was but a prince in Antiphilos, on the day of days he did but hunt birds in the garden of the Garandees with his ivory bow, and by happenstance he saw a great crow alight in the fig tree. And Prince Fahara'jad vowed, by Onsi's bright blade, I shall slay me this crow. And he did knock an ivory arrow to the ivory bow, and let fly, and lo, the crow was taken in the eye, and did die of the instant. Then dropped from the sky a hideous Hargraven with a cursing of curses, and the she-daemon menaced the young prince with the unclean talons, crying, You have slain the child of my bosom, and must die the death therefore. In sooth, I shall pluck out your eyes, and partake of them like grapes. And screaming a great scream, she clawed at the prince's orbs of vision. Then did a beam of golden light shine down from the heavens, striding upon it, as if on a bright blade came down the ever-glorious Onsai, crying, Hold, creature of evil! And he smote off the Hargraven's claws, which fell to the ground like hail, and the she-daemon fell likewise, and commenced to grovel unto the god, and beg for mercy. And Onsai spake, saying, Please shall avail you not, shrill virago, for you have threatened the fateful prince, whom it is in my special care to foster and protect. For this noble stripling is the Fahara'jad, whom prophecy foretells shall lead our people in the years of peril, and so you must needs die. And he struck off her head. And the prince, sore amazed, did cover both his eyes, and when he dared to look again, both god and she-daemon were gone. Thus the prince did misdoubt his own eyes, and hurried to the holy temple, where he related all that had occurred to the priest of Onsai. And the priest deemed his seeing a true seeing, and this was the first of the prophecies of monarchy. The illusion of death. Then, because he had toyed with the ape-maiden Dulce, did Maruk spend his century of penance upon the stone meadows, and his sight was seared, and his tongue was swollen, and his pelt was mottled, and his left thumb pointed ever at the stars of the tower, and ever did the shade of Al-Esh speak to him serrated words that rasped his concept organ and brought him to wisdom through affliction. And he recorded her words in his simian gore with glyphs of the beseeching scarp, and the fire in his blood did etch his lithic face with the 77 inflexible doctrines, and through the labour depleted, yea, even consumed by his very substance, he stinted not, for he knew that death is an illusion. For did not Al-Esh persist, speaking knives through the dead? And had not Pelin Al been witness to her death, though dead himself at the death of Al-Ma'il? Then Maruk knew a right reaching, that one devoted to proper life, an eblorific annulment shall persist beyond the illusion of death. For indeed, the drive to expunge corruption can conquer even the Arcadian cycle. Trials of Saint Alessia. Akatosh made a covenant with Alessia in those days so long ago. He gathered the tangled skeins of oblivion and knit them fast with the bloody sinews of his heart, and gave them to Alessia, saying, This shall be my token to you, that so long as your blood and oath hold true, yet so shall my blood and oath be true to you. This token shall be the amulet of kings, and the covenant shall be made between us. For I am the king of spirits, and you are the queen of mortals. As you shall stand witness for all mortal flesh, so shall I stand witness for all immortal spirits." And Akatosh drew from his breast a burning handful of his heart's blood, and he gave it into Alessia's hand, saying, "This shall also be a token to you of our joined blood and pledged faith. So long as you and your descendants shall wear the amulet of kings, then shall this dragon fire burn, an eternal flame, so as a sign to all men and gods of our faithfulness. So long as the dragon fires burn, to you and to all your generations, I swear that my heart's blood shall hold fast the gates of oblivion. So long as the blood of the dragon runs strong in her rulers, the glory of the empire shall extend in unbroken years. But should the dragon fires fail, and should no hair of our joined blood wear the amulet of kings, then shall the empire descend into darkness, and the demon lords of misrule shall govern the land." From the Liturgy of the Rekindling of the Dragonfires. I hope you've been enjoying these lore readings, and if you have, please do consider subscribing to the channel. Also, come follow me over on twitch.tv/ICYIC, where I stream the Elder Scrolls Online 4 days a week. I'd love to see you there. Thanks for watching. Bye.